Now, page 4, exposing the truth about the Marxist socialists from Vermont. You see, the masterminds who impose totalitarian government control on the people do not follow the same set of draconian anti-liberty rules that they set. In other words, what's good for the gander is not so good for the goose. Case in point, Bernie Sanders. Right now, he and his wife are the target of an FBI investigation. Both of them have hired lawyers. That's because Sanders' wife is the subject of a probe into the finances of the now defunct Burlington College, of which she was president. The college ran up a huge amount of debt after Jane Sanders entered into an ill-advised real estate deal. So, federal investigators want to know what happened, and they want to know if the couple profited from this deal in any way like good Trotskyites. Meantime, old Bernie is refusing to answer questions about the investigation. Instead, he's running around right now telling everyone that the medical sky is falling if the Republican health care plan is signed into law.
If you take away health care from 23 million people...
Stop the tape. That is a phony number to begin with. That is almost the identical number that was used, what, about 8, 9 years ago when they were originally floating Obamacare. 23, 25 million Americans didn't have health care. Isn't that interesting? But we picked apart that number. We peeled back the onion, and we found that among those 23, 25 million people, many people chose not to have insurance. Millions of Americans chose not to have any insurance at all. That was among the 23, 25 million people. Also, illegal immigrants were counted in that number. Millions and millions of illegal immigrants, and millions of people who were literally in between insurance coverage. That is, maybe they're going from a private plan to a group plan through their employer or vice versa. So it's a phony number to begin with. And that's what the Democrats based Obamacare on, and now that's their talking points to oppose the Republican plan. Roll tape.
Many of whom are dealing with life-threatening diseases. What's going to happen? People will die by the thousands.
Stop the tape. This is the provocative rhetoric that Bernie Sanders has now been using since he's been on the national stage for what, 2.5, 3 years? And there are Bernie bots out there who are receiving this message that Republicans are killing people in this country. And the Bernie bots are going to act on his rhetoric, like the maniac who moved from Illinois to Virginia to shoot up 5 people at a ball field less than 2 weeks ago, including a Congressman, Steve Scalise, who was originally listed in critical condition after being shot in the abdomen. Now he's been upgraded to fair condition. Isn't it amazing how that story has been completely knocked off the radar in fewer than 2 weeks? And also, isn't it amazing how Bernie Sanders, this man, can go out and say that Republicans are killing Americans with no recourse? Nobody is holding this man accountable. The Democrat Party gives him a very, very long leash, but he's not even a member of the Democrat Party. Caucuses with the Democrats love him because of the lightning rod, and he speaks the truth, the unvarnished truth about who and what they are, and they just kind of leave him alone. It's amazing. Roll tape.
I say this, I say this with pain, with anxiety.
Stop the tape. No, you say it as a Marxist socialist. Because what you are trying to do here, Senator Sanders, is stir the pot to get the reaction that you want. You will deny trying to provoke violence, but in the end, that's what the Democrat Party, that's what Marxist socialists do. The recent history of the Democrat Party, in fact, the longer history, dating back to slavery, and dating back to segregation, and dating back to the KKK, all owned by the Democrat Party, and all part of the equation here. Roll tape.
There are estimates that if 23 million Americans are thrown off of health care, that 28,000 people could die as a result.
Stop the tape. This is nonsense, utter nonsense. So all of a sudden, Bernie Sanders has a crystal ball along with his hammer and sickle. This is the kind of stuff that does affect certain kinds of people in this country. They're thinking about these numbers. they're going to act on these numbers based on what Bernie Sanders is saying. It's absolutely shameless for this man to go out and claim that Republicans are killing fellow Americans. So back to the FBI investigation of old Bernie. Isn't it deliciously ironic, though, that Bernie is the one being investigated by the feds and not the person he wants in the FBI crosshairs, his nemesis, Donald Trump?